In the last episode, humanity teetered on the brink of collapse, ravaged by environmental disaster and societal upheaval. Yet amidst the ruins, a beacon of hope emerged in the form of Ambrose Wynter, a brilliant and charismatic entrepreneur. The memories of that desolate world still lingered in Ambrose's mind like an open wound. He recalled the desperation in the eyes of the people, the scarcity of resources, and the crumbling infrastructure. But most of all, he remembered the spark within himself, the unyielding determination to revive and restore the planet. As Ambrose stood on the rooftop, gazing out at the sprawling metropolis, a gust of wind whipped his hair into a frenzy, and the city's bleak landscape seemed to stir. The skeletal remains of skyscrapers, once testaments to human ingenuity, now stood as haunting reminders of what had been lost. His thoughts were interrupted by the hum of a comms device on his wrist. A message from his trusted ally, Kale, flashed on the screen. Ambrose's eyes scanned the message, his mind racing with the implications. Kale, a former engineer turned leader of a faction of augmented humans, had made contact with a group of advanced, technologically enhanced beings from a distant planet. These beings, known as the charismatic, possessed knowledge and capabilities that could potentially catapult humanity into the galactic age. A shiver ran down Ambrose's spine as he contemplated the possibilities. He had always believed that humanity's salvation lay not in isolation but in forging alliances with other intelligent beings. The charismatic could be the key to unlocking a brighter future. He made his decision. Ambrose reached out to Kale, agreeing to meet with the charismatic emissaries. The response came swiftly. A location was set, and a time was agreed upon. Ambrose spent the next few hours preparing, mentally and physically, for the encounter. He arrived at the designated coordinates, a converted warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The air was thick with anticipation as he entered the dimly lit interior. Kale stood by his side, flanked by a phalanx of heavily armed guards. Across from them, two beings unlike any Ambrose had ever seen stood poised, their slender bodies augmented with metallic limbs and implants. The lead emissary, Archaea, greeted Ambrose with an unnervingly direct gaze. Her words dripped with calculated precision. "We come in peace, Ambrose Wynter, and bring gifts of knowledge and technology to aid your species." As Ambrose extended a hand in greeting, a jolt of electricity ran through his veins. He sensed that this moment marked the beginning of a new era, one where humanity would either rise to greatness or succumb to its own destructive tendencies. The stakes were clear: accept the charismatic's offer and gamble on their good intentions, or risk being forever left behind in the annals of history. With a steady hand, Ambrose sealed humanity's fate. The decision was made. Now the consequences would unfold. But amidst the whirlwind of excitement and uncertainty, a nagging feeling gnawed at Ambrose's gut, a sense that not everyone shared his vision for a brighter future. In the shadows, unseen forces stirred, their intentions shrouded in mystery. What darkness lay hidden behind Archaea's polished smile? Only time would reveal the truth. The meeting concluded with promises of cooperation and a fledgling partnership. As Ambrose departed the warehouse, the city lights seemed to twinkle with a newfound sense of hope. The journey had just begun, and the universe was full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. For Ambrose Wynter, the real challenge was only just beginning. With each step forward, the weight of responsibility grew. He knew that the path ahead would be fraught with peril, but he was ready. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose Wynter was determined to tip the scales in their favor. The city beckoned, its streets pulsating with a newfound energy. Ambrose Wynter, the man who would shape the destiny of humanity, walked into the unknown, his heart ablaze with determination. The future was unwritten, the possibilities endless. As he strolled through the city's revitalized streets, Ambrose's thoughts drifted back to the enigmatic charismatic. Their advanced technology had the potential to revolutionize humanity's understanding of the universe. Yet he couldn't shake off the feeling that Archaea's smile concealed secrets, that her words were laced with hidden agendas. The comms device on his wrist buzzed again, interrupting his musings. Kale's message flashed on the screen, urging him to meet with a group of human scientists who had been working in secret on a top priority project. Ambrose's curiosity was piqued. He made his way to the designated coordinates, a heavily fortified laboratory on the outskirts of the city. The air was thick with anticipation as he entered the dimly lit room, flanked by Kale and his augmented guards. A hooded figure, Dr. Alara Vex, stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with an intensity that bordered on obsession. "We've made a breakthrough, Ambrose, a device capable of harnessing the energy of nearby stars." The implications were staggering. With such technology, humanity could power its way through the galaxy, unchecked and unbridled. Ambrose's heart raced at the thought. But at what cost, he wondered, noticing the eerie silence that hung in the air. As he delved deeper into the project's details, Ambrose began to realize that Dr. Vex's creation came with its own set of risks that could unravel the very fabric of spacetime itself. A shiver ran down his spine as he contemplated the consequences. The fate of humanity teetered on the brink of a precipice, and Ambrose was torn between the promise of unfettered power and the danger of unchecked ambition. In the shadows, unseen forces stirred, their intentions shrouded in mystery. What secrets lay hidden behind Dr. Vex's obsessive determination? Only time would reveal the truth. The meeting concluded with promises of caution and further research. As Ambrose departed the laboratory, the city lights seemed to twinkle with a newfound sense of trepidation. The journey had just begun, and the universe was full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. For Ambrose Wynter, the real challenge was only just beginning. With each step forward, the weight of responsibility grew. He knew that the path ahead would be fraught with peril, but he was ready. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose Wynter was determined to tip the scales in their favor as he walked back to his residence. The city's vibrant pulse seemed to fade into the background, replaced by the thrum of uncertainty. The weight of Dr. Vex's revelation settled heavily upon his shoulders, the promise of limitless power tempered by the risks of its misuse. Kale's voice snapped him back to reality, his friend's concern etched on his face. "Ambrose, we need to talk." Ambrose nodded, his mind still reeling from the implications of the star-harnessing device. They stepped into a secure communications room, the walls lined with holographic displays and cryptic data streams. "What is it, Kale?" Ambrose asked, his tone measured. "I've been monitoring the Chirone's transmissions," Kale said, his eyes locked on the data streams. "They're hiding something, Ambrose. Their encrypted channels are getting more frequent, more urgent." A spark of unease ignited within Ambrose. He had suspected as much, but the confirmation sent a shiver down his spine. "What do you think they're planning?" "I don't know, but I think it's connected to Dr. Vex's project," Kale said, his voice laced with a warning. "We need to keep a close eye on both the Chirone and Dr. Vex. The stakes are too high to let our guard down." Ambrose nodded, his mind racing with the implications. He had to navigate the treacherous landscape of alien politics, all while keeping his own people in check. The burden of leadership weighed heavily upon him, but he would not falter. As he departed the communications room, Ambrose was intercepted by a hooded figure, their features obscured by the shadows. "Ambrose Wynter," the figure whispered, their voice like silk. "You would do well to remember that power comes with a price. The Chirone are not the only ones watching." With that, the figure vanished, leaving Ambrose to ponder the warning. The universe was full of secrets, and Ambrose was determined to uncover them all. The night wore on, Ambrose's thoughts consumed by the intricate web of intrigue and deception. He knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but he was ready. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose Wynter was determined to tip the scales in their favor. As he gazed out upon the city, a sense of resolve hardened within him. He would not be swayed by the whispers of doubt, nor would he be deterred by the shadows of uncertainty. Ambrose Wynter was a hero forged in adversity, and he would lead humanity to its destiny, no matter the cost. The stars twinkled like diamonds against the dark canvas of space, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay beyond the reaches of his empire. Ambrose's thoughts, however, remained rooted in the intrigue that had taken hold of his mind. The hooded figure's warning lingered, a gentle whisper in the recesses of his consciousness. As he stood at the edge of the city, the night air carried the soft hum of machinery, a constant reminder of the pulse of life that flowed through the veins of his empire. Ambrose's eyes narrowed, his gaze piercing the darkness, as if searching for the secrets that lay hidden within. "Ambrose, you're still awake," a soft voice said, accompanying the gentle rustle of footsteps. He turned to face Lyra, her features illuminated by the soft glow of the city's luminescent pathways. Her eyes sparkled with a quiet concern, a subtle reminder that even in the midst of chaos there were those who cared for him. "I couldn't sleep," Ambrose admitted, his voice low, measured. "The shadows are getting longer, Lyra." "The Chirene, Dr. Vex, the hooded figure. There's too much at play here." Lyra's expression softened, her hand reaching out to brush against his arm. "You can't carry the weight of the galaxy on your shoulders alone, Ambrose. You need to trust those around you." Ambrose's gaze shifted, his eyes locking onto hers. "I trust you, Lyra, but this is different. This is about the very fabric of our existence. I can't afford to be blind to the secrets that lurk in the darkness." Lyra's fingers tightened around his arm, her grip gentle but firm. "Then let's uncover them together. You don't have to do this alone, Ambrose." A faint smile crept onto his lips, a spark of determination igniting within him. "You're right, Lyra. I don't have to do this alone. Let's gather the council and get to the bottom of this. It's time we started pulling the threads that bind this web of deceit." The morning sun was just beginning to creep over the horizon as Ambrose and Lyra made their way to the council chambers. The air was alive with the hum of anticipation, the whispered conversations of the council members a testament to the gravity of the situation. Ambrose's gaze swept the room, his eyes locking onto Dr. Vex, whose expression was a mask of calm deliberation. The scientist's eyes flickered, ever so slightly, as Ambrose's gaze met hers. "We have reason to believe the Chirene are planning something," Ambrose began, his voice clear, authoritative. "I want to know what they are hiding, and I want to know now." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, the council members speaking over one another as they pored over the encrypted transmissions. Ambrose's eyes remained fixed on Dr. Vex, his gaze piercing the veil of secrets that shrouded her. It was then that the room fell silent, the sudden stillness oppressive. A figure stood in the doorway, its features obscured by the shadows. The air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy, as if the very fabric of reality had been torn asunder. "Who are you?" Ambrose demanded, his voice firm, commanding. The figure stepped forward, its features illuminated by the soft glow of the council chambers. Ambrose's heart skipped a beat as he beheld the figure's face, a face he had thought lost to the annals of time. "Ambrose Wynter," the figure said, its voice like a gentle breeze on a summer's day. "I am Aria, your sister, and I've come to warn you. The fate of humanity hangs in the balance." Ambrose's world came crashing down around him, the room spinning as if the axis of his reality had been violently shifted. His sister, Aria, stood before him, her eyes radiating an ethereal calm, her voice a gentle melody that stirred the depths of his heart. The silence that followed was oppressive, the weight of her words suffocating. Lyra's hand was the first to break the spell, her fingers closing around Ambrose's arm like a lifeline. "Ambrose, breathe," she whispered, her voice a soft reminder that he was still alive, still standing. The council members stared, their faces a mixture of shock and awe as if they had stumbled upon a sacred relic. Dr. Vex's gaze, however, remained fixed on Aria, her eyes burning with an intensity that bordered on obsession. "Aria," Ambrose stammered, his voice barely audible, You're dead." Aria's smile was a fleeting whisper of sorrow, her eyes clouding with a hint of regret, I was Ambrose, but I've been given a chance to make things right. The room erupted into a flurry of questions, the council members bombarding Arya with demands for explanation. Ambrose's gaze, however, remained fixed on his sister, his mind reeling as he struggled to comprehend the impossibility of her return. Arya's eyes locked onto his, her gaze piercing the veil of confusion. There's no time for questions, Ambrose. The Chirinae have unleashed a force that threatens to destroy the fabric of our universe. You must listen and you must act. The weight of her words crushed Ambrose, the gravity of the situation sinking in like a slow-moving tsunami. He felt Lyra's grip on his arm tighten, her presence a beacon of support in the midst of chaos. What force? Ambrose demanded, his voice firm, resolute. What do you know, Arya? Arya's gaze faltered, her eyes darting to Dr. Vex before returning to Ambrose. The Chirinae have tapped into the heart of the cosmos, unleashing a power that defies understanding. It's a power that can rewrite reality itself, and it's growing by the minute. The council members exchanged nervous glances, their faces pale with the weight of the revelation. Dr. Vex's gaze, however, remained fixed on Arya, her eyes burning with an intensity that bordered on fanaticism. We need to stop it, Ambrose declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. Whatever the cost, we can't let the Chirinae reshape the universe in their image. Arya's smile was a fleeting whisper of hope, her eyes shining with a determination that mirrored Ambrose's own. "I'll help you, brother. Together, we can find a way to stop this force before it's too late." As the room erupted into a flurry of activity, Ambrose felt Lyra's grip on his arm tighten, her presence a beacon of support in the midst of chaos. The stars twinkled like diamonds against the dark canvas of space, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay beyond the reaches of his empire. But for now, Ambrose's gaze remained fixed on his sister, his heart pounding with a sense of hope and determination. He knew that together, they could face whatever lay ahead. No matter the cost, the silence that followed was a fragile calm, a moment of stillness before the storm. Ambrose's mind raced with questions, but Arya's words hung in the air like a challenge, a call to action that couldn't be ignored. Dr. Vex's eyes never left Arya's face, her gaze burning with an intensity that bordered on obsession. "How do we stop it, Arya?" she asked, her voice low and urgent. Arya's gaze locked onto Dr. Vex, her eyes clouding with a hint of caution. "I can sense the power, feel its resonance within the fabric of space. But to stop it, we need to understand its source, its connection to the Chirinae." Ambrose's grip on Lyra's hand tightened, his heart pounding with a sense of determination. "We'll find a way, Arya. We'll stop this force, no matter what it takes." The room erupted into a flurry of activity, council members scrambling to mobilize their resources, to gather data, and to formulate a plan of attack. Ambrose's gaze remained fixed on Arya, his mind racing with the implications of her return. As the chaos swirled around him, Ambrose felt Lyra's presence, her hand still clasped in his, her eyes shining with a quiet strength. Together they pushed through the crowd, making their way towards Arya, their footsteps echoing through the chamber. "We need to talk, Arya," Ambrose said, his voice low and urgent. "We need to know what you know, what you've seen." Arya's eyes clouded, her gaze drifting towards the stars. "I've seen the end of the universe, Ambrose. I've seen the fabric of reality torn apart, the Chirinae reigning supreme. But I've also seen hope, a glimmer of light in the darkness." Ambrose's heart pounded with a sense of determination. "Tell me, Arya, what do you know?" Arya's gaze locked onto his, her eyes shining with a fierce intensity. "I know that time is running out, Ambrose. I know that we must act and act fast, if we're to have any chance of stopping this force." The stars twinkled like diamonds against the dark canvas of space, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay beyond the reaches of Ambrose's empire. But for now, Ambrose's gaze remained fixed on his sister, his heart pounding with a sense of hope and determination. He knew that together they could face whatever lay ahead, no matter the cost. The weight of Arya's words hung in the air, a palpable force that drew Ambrose in, his mind racing with the implications of her revelation. Lyra's hand in his, a steady anchor as he stepped forward, his eyes locked onto Aria's. "Well, start by tracing the energy signature," Dr. Vex interjected, her voice a whirlwind of efficiency. "Well, deploy a team to scour the galaxy to find the source of this force." Aria's gaze never wavered, her eyes fixed on Ambrose. "I've seen the birthplace of the Chirinae, Ambrose. I've seen the heart of their power." Ambrose's heart skipped a beat, his mind racing with the possibilities. "Where is it, Aria?" he asked, his voice low and urgent. Aria's gaze drifted, her eyes clouding with a hint of sorrow. It's in the abyssal void, Ambrose. A realm of darkness where the laws of physics are twisted and distorted." A hush fell over the room, the weight of Aria's words sinking in. Ambrose's grip on Lyra's hand tightened, his mind racing with the implications. The abyssal void, a region of space notorious for its treacherous energy currents and unpredictable wormholes. "We'll need a ship capable of navigating the void," Ambrose said, his voice firm and resolute. "We'll need a team of experts equipped with the latest technology." Dr. Vex nodded, her eyes shining with a fierce intensity. "I'll assemble a team, Ambrose. We'll find a way to breach the void to track down the source of this force." Aria's gaze locked onto Ambrose, her eyes shining with a hint of warning. "Be careful, Ambrose. The Chirinae are not to be underestimated. They will stop at nothing to claim dominion over the universe." Ambrose's heart pounded with a sense of determination, his mind racing with the possibilities. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but he was undaunted. With Lyra by his side and Aria's guidance, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. "I'll not be swayed, Aria," Ambrose said, his voice firm and resolute. "I'll stop at nothing to protect humanity, to ensure our survival." The stars twinkled like diamonds against the dark canvas of space, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay beyond the reaches of Ambrose's empire. But for now, Ambrose's gaze remained fixed on the challenge ahead, his heart pounding with a sense of hope and determination. As the room erupted into a flurry of activity, Ambrose stood tall, his eyes locked onto the horizon, his mind racing with the possibilities. The abyssal void, a realm of darkness, lay ahead, but Ambrose was undaunted. With Lyra by his side and Aria's guidance, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead, no matter the cost. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose was determined to tip the scales in their favor in the flickering light of the holographic display. Ambrose's face was a mask of determination, his eyes flashing with a fierce intensity as he surveyed the data streaming in from the scouting missions. Lyra stood beside him, her hand wrapped around his, a silent anchor in the maelstrom of activity. Dr. Vex paced around the perimeter of the room, her footsteps a staccato rhythm as she orchestrated the deployment of the scouting teams. Aria, seated on the periphery, her eyes fixed on Ambrose, her gaze a quiet storm of warning. "The readings are inconclusive, Ambrose," Dr. Vex reported, her voice a steady anchor in the chaos. "We're picking up energy fluctuations, but nothing concrete." Ambrose's jaw clenched, his mind racing with the possibilities. The abyssal void was a realm of darkness where the laws of physics were twisted and distorted. It was a region of space notorious for its treacherous energy currents and unpredictable wormholes. "We need to get closer," Ambrose said, his voice firm and resolute. "We need to pinpoint the source of this force." Dr. Vex nodded, her eyes flashing with determination. "I'll reconfigure the sensors, Ambrose. We'll get a better reading." Aria's gaze never wavered, her eyes fixed on Ambrose. "Remember, Ambrose, the Chirinae will stop at nothing. They will not hesitate to destroy you to claim dominion over the universe." Ambrose's heart pounded with a sense of determination, his mind racing with the possibilities. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but he was undaunted. "I understand, Aria," Ambrose said, his voice firm and resolute. "I will not be swayed. I will stop at nothing to protect humanity, to ensure our survival." The stars twinkled like diamonds against the dark canvas of space, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay beyond the reaches of Ambrose's empire. But for now, Ambrose's gaze remained fixed on the challenge ahead, his heart pounding with a sense of hope and determination. As the room erupted into a flurry of activity, Ambrose stood tall, his eyes locked onto the horizon, his mind racing with the possibilities. The abyssal void, a realm of darkness, lay ahead, but Ambrose was undaunted. With Lyra by his side and Aria's guidance, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead, no matter the cost. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose was determined to tip the scales in their favor. "Let's move out," Ambrose said, his voice firm and resolute. "We have a mission to complete." The room fell silent, the only sound the soft hum of the holographic displays. Lyra's hand in his, a steady anchor as Ambrose stepped forward, his eyes locked onto the horizon, his heart pounding with a sense of determination. The stars awaited, a vast expanse of possibility, as Ambrose led the charge into the unknown. Driven by his unyielding vision for a brighter future, the door to the briefing room slid open, and a young officer, Lieutenant Tom Bradley, stepped inside, his eyes darting around the room before settling on Ambrose. "Sir, we've received a transmission from the scouting team on the edge of the abyssal void." Ambrose's gaze snapped to the officer. "What's the report, Lieutenant?" Bradley hesitated, his eyes flicking to Dr. Vex before returning to Ambrose. "Sir, Thayer reporting. Unusual energy signatures. It's like nothing they've seen before." Aria's eyes narrowed, her gaze piercing. "Unusual. That's not enough, Lieutenant. I want specifics." Bradley swallowed hard. "I'm afraid that's all we have, Mom. The signal's weak and the team's trying to get a lock on the source, but it's like the energy's shifting and adapting." Ambrose's mind raced with the implications. Shifting and adapting energy patterns meant they were dealing with something unlike anything they'd faced before. He turned to Dr. Vex. "Can you try to hack into the scouting team's feed? See if we can get a better reading." Dr. Vex nodded, her fingers flying across the console as she worked her magic. The holographic display flickered to life, casting an ethereal glow across the room. The silence that followed was oppressive, the only sound the soft hum of the display as Dr. Vex worked to bypass the scouting team's encryption. Finally, the data began to stream in, and Ambrose's eyes narrowed as he studied the readings. "This is impossible," he whispered, his mind reeling with the implications. "The energy patterns, they are not natural." Aria's gaze locked onto Ambrose, her eyes flashing with a warning. "The Chirinae are not to be underestimated, Ambrose. They have technology beyond our wildest dreams." Ambrose's jaw clenched, his determination growing. "Well, adapt, Aria. We'll find a way to counter this." Dr. Vex stepped forward, her eyes shining with a fierce intensity. "I think I can modify our shielding to compensate for the energy fluctuations. It won't be easy, but..." "Do it," Ambrose interrupted, his voice firm. "We don't have a choice. We'll push forward no matter the cost." Lyra's hand tightened around his, a silent anchor in the swirling vortex of uncertainty. Ambrose's heart pounded with a sense of determination as he gazed out at the stars, the abyssal void looming like a dark and foreboding presence on the horizon. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose was ready to do whatever it took to ensure their survival. He turned to his team, his voice a rallying cry. "Let's move out. We have a mission to complete." The room erupted into a flurry of activity as Ambrose led the charge into the unknown, driven by his unyielding vision for a brighter future. But as they ventured deeper into the abyssal void, the stars seemed to grow dimmer, and the shadows grew long and ominous, whispering secrets only the universe knew. The darkness of the abyssal void swallowed them whole, the silence punctuated only by the steady hum of their ship's engines. Ambrose stood on the bridge of the Aurora, his eyes fixed on the viewscreen as it displayed a mesmerizing dance of stars and shadows. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the scouting team," Lieutenant Bradley announced, his voice steady despite the tension that hung in the air. Ambrose nodded, his gaze never leaving the viewscreen. "Put it through, Lieutenant." A moment later, the scouting team's leader, Commander Ryder, appeared on the viewscreen. His face was set in a determined expression, but Ambrose detected a hint of unease in his voice. "Sir, we've detected a structure at the heart of the energy anomaly. It's unlike anything we've seen before, massive, with energy output that's off the charts." Ambrose's mind raced with the implications. A structure of that magnitude could be a game-changer in their quest for resources. "Commander, can you give me a better idea of what we're looking at?" Ryder nodded. "From our preliminary scans, it appears to be some kind of ancient facility. We're detecting strange energy patterns emanating from within, but we can't quite pinpoint the source." Ambrose's grip on Lyra's hand tightened as he felt a shiver run down her spine. Ancient facility. That could mean untold wonders or unimaginable dangers. "Ryder, I want you to proceed with caution. This could be our ticket to unlocking the secrets of the abyssal void." Ryder nodded, his eyes locked on Ambrose's. "Yes, sir. Well, move forward with caution." "But, sir," Ambrose raised an eyebrow. "What is it, Commander?" Ryder's hesitation was barely perceptible, but Ambrose detected it. "Sir, we're picking up something strange. It's like a resonance frequency. It's not harming us, but it's definitely there." Ambrose's heart quickened. A resonance frequency. That could be a communication attempt or something far more sinister. "Ryder, I want you to try and hack into that frequency. See if we can establish a connection." Ryder nodded, his face set in determination. "Yes, sir. We'll get to work on it right away." As the transmission ended, Ambrose turned to his team. "All right, let's get to work. We have a facility to explore and secrets to uncover." The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as Ambrose's team set to work, their faces set with determination. But as they ventured deeper into the abyssal void, the darkness seemed to grow thicker, the shadows twisting and writhe like living things. Ambrose's heart pounded with a growing sense of foreboding. They were being watched, and the universe was holding its breath. Captain Im detecting unusual energy fluctuations around the structure, Lieutenant Patel reported, her brow furrowed in concentration. Ambrose's gaze snapped to the viewscreen, where the swirling vortex of stars and shadows seemed to pulse with an otherworldly rhythm. "What kind of fluctuations, Lieutenant?" "It's as if the structure is reacting to our presence," Patel replied, her voice laced with hesitation. "The energy output is increasing, but I'm not reading any hostile intent." Ambrose's grip on Lyra's hand tightened as he felt her tension spike. "Keep monitoring the situation, Lieutenant. If that structure is capable of responding to us, I want to know why." The air on the bridge seemed to vibrate with anticipation as Ambrose's team worked in silence, their instruments beeping and humming as they probed the mysteries of the abyssal void. Suddenly, Commander Ryder's voice crackled over the comm system. "Sir, we've established a connection to the resonance frequency. It's unlike anything I've seen before." Ambrose's heart raced with excitement. "What does it say, Commander?" Ryder's hesitation was palpable. "Sir, it's not a message exactly. It's more like a presence, a consciousness resonating at the same frequency as the energy anomaly." Ambrose's mind reeled as he digested the implications. An ancient facility, emitting a consciousness. The possibilities were endless and terrifying. "Ryder, can you establish a direct link to the consciousness?" Ambrose asked, his voice steady despite the storm brewing in his chest. Ryder's reply was laced with trepidation. "I'm not sure, sir. The frequency is alien. I don't know if we can interface with it safely." Ambrose's gaze locked onto Lyra's, her eyes burning with an unspoken warning. But he knew they had to push forward. The secrets of the abyssal void were too great to ignore. "Ryder, I want you to attempt a connection." "Lyra, can you? Am already on it." "Ambrose," Lyra interrupted, her hands flying across her console. "I'll try to interface with the consciousness, but I need you to be prepared for anything." Ambrose nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. The darkness of the abyssal void seemed to grow thicker, the shadows coalescing into a presence that watched him with cold, calculating eyes. As Lyra established the link, a sudden stillness fell over the bridge. The instruments stopped beeping, the engines hummed softly, and the stars on the viewscreen seemed to hold their breath. And then, a voice whispered in Ambrose's mind, a voice that was both ancient and eternal, cold and calculating. "Greetings, Ambrose Wynter," it said. "I have been waiting for you." Ambrose's eyes locked onto Lyra's, her face set in a determined expression. But as he gazed into her eyes, he saw a flicker of fear, a fear that mirrored his own. For in that moment, Ambrose knew they had stepped into the unknown, and the universe would never be the same again. The voice in his mind was like a gentle breeze on a summer day, but it sent shivers down Ambrose's spine. Lyra's grip on his hand tightened, and he felt her heart racing in tandem with his own. "Greetings, Ambrose Wynter," the voice repeated. "I am the guardian of the abyssal void. You have entered this realm uninvited, but since you are here, I will grant you an audience." Ambrose's mind raced with questions, but he forced himself to speak calmly. "Thank you, Guardian. We mean no harm. We're explorers seeking to understand the secrets of the universe." The Guardian's response was immediate. "I am aware of your intentions, Ambrose Wynter. Your species is curious, but your actions have consequences. You have disturbed the balance of power in the galaxy." Ambrose felt a pang of guilt, but he stood firm. "We didn't mean to disrupt the balance. We're just trying to survive and thrive in a hostile universe." The Guardian's response was enigmatic. "Survival is a primal instinct, Ambrose Wynter. But with great power comes great responsibility. You must learn to wield your newfound strength wisely." As the Guardian spoke, the viewscreen flickered and the stars seemed to shift, revealing a hidden pattern. Ambrose's eyes widened as he grasped the enormity of what he was seeing. "Lyra, do you see that?" he whispered. Lyra's eyes were fixed on the viewscreen, her face pale. "What is it, Ambrose?" "It's a map," Ambrose replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "A map to hidden territories, unknown civilizations, and ancient artifacts." The Guardian's voice interrupted his wonder. "Ambrose Wynter, you have been given a glimpse of the universe's secrets. Use this knowledge wisely. The fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance." As the Guardian's voice faded, the viewscreen snapped back to its normal display and the bridge returned to its usual hum of activity. Ambrose felt Lyra's gaze on him, her eyes burning with a mix of wonder and trepidation. "What do we do now, Ambrose?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ambrose's grin was feral. "We chart a course for the unknown, Lyra. We explore the hidden territories, and we unlock the secrets of the universe." Lyra's smile mirrored his own. "Together, we'll forge a new future for humanity." As the bridge crew cheered, Ambrose felt the weight of the Guardian's words settling upon him. With great power comes great responsibility. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but he was ready to face the challenges head-on. For in the abyssal void, Ambrose Wynter had discovered a new purpose: to unravel the mysteries of the universe and ensure humanity's place among the stars.